All right, looks like sports card photographer is here, so we're gonna bring him in right now. It's a good question, Kevin. Hey, what's going on?
How's it going?
I'm good, man. Thanks for taking time to chat.
No problem.
Yeah, so real quick, just kind of background about us. My name's Dan, by the way. Um, and so we started this account honestly like a couple months ago. There's six of us who are sports card collectors and just really into sports. And so this page is kind of like the six of us coming together. And one of the things that we have wanted to start doing more is just reach out to other people who are like connected to the hobby, just for nothing else other than just making connections. And I'm not just saying this to you. Your page is one of my favorite pages on Instagram. I'm big into photography, and I just thought it was so cool when I don't even remember how I stumbled upon your Instagram, but just seeing your photos and then reading the backstory about the photography, I thought was awesome. So I really appreciate you hopping in and chatting.
Yeah, no problem. I'm always interested to hear how people found me, because it's definitely interesting to see where people come from and that sort of stuff. So
Yeah, so I think it was in the Explore page, and it was I think it was one of the Mike Trout posts, and I don't know, I was just super interested. Maybe just to kind of start, I would love to kind of hear how you got into photography and what that looks like in terms of like, are you a photographer full time? Is it freelance? Is it something you do on the side? Just what's your photography story?
yeah, I worked in advertising for like 20 years and always was interested in photography, just sort of on the side as an amateur. Wasn't really great at it. And then just as years went on, I just sort of got better and better. And I had some health things happen where I had to step away from advertising and just had some opportunities with sports photography, and it's just growing ever since then. So I probably started full time like 2016 or so.
Cool.
Um, and yeah, it's just been growing sort of every year, except last year was a little weird, but
Yeah. But it looks like you were still able to shoot last year, right?
yeah,
Even
last year was wild. I was still able to shoot baseball, but we were so far away from where we usually are, and football, same thing, really far away. So it's going to be interesting, sort of how the cards look next year with the pitchers, because especially with baseball, I mean, I've seen some sort of mock-ups for next year, and you don't get those close photos that you're used to. So they'll probably use some from previous years and just sort of have to use what was shot. So, and each stadium was sort of different with baseball. The Dodgers, where I shoot a lot, we were really far away, but in the Bay Area, like they shot a couple Giants games and we were really close. So,
okay,
uh,
varied.
it was just sort of all over the place, and you just sort of had to make do with what you had, and be grateful that you could do anything at all, I guess, at that point. So
So do you do sports photography full time, or you do like concerts and event stuff, or
just
mainly
sports,
just sports? Cool.
just yeah.
And are you into sports cards at all, or is that just
I
part
am.
of
So
it?
I grew up collecting cards, and they were. I was very passionate about it as a kid,
Yeah.
and just sort of stepped away. Once I got to college, and other things, took up time in my life, and then as I got more into photography and started working full time and seeing that some photos were ending up on cards, I sort of got back into it. And um, yeah, it's wild. If you would have told me as a kid that I would have taken a photo that would have ended up on a card, I would have been pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah. So
um,
so my question, just from the I know there's all the licensing, and each of the sports works a little bit differently. And but my question is, so are you your own company that MLB hires, or do you work for MLB, or how basically how does your photo, like this photo, for example, how
yeah.
does this end up on a baseball card?
So I work for a wire service, and they get me credentials to events. I put all my images up on the wire. which is like Getty Images, AP Images, and then the companies grab them from there. So there's tons of photos up there, and they can just pick what they choose. I'm not associated with the MLB at all, and yeah, so I don't necessarily I'm freelance, but I don't necessarily have my own company per
Got
se.
it.
So, um, but yeah,
That
once I take the picture, I don't have it just sort of goes up on the wire, and then I find out that it ends up on a card when I go on eBay and see it or something
Oh,
like
cool, cool.
that.
Yeah, I was
So,
wondering when you upload just to the wire to like where they can pull the stuff from, are you editing it or are you uploading the raw photo?
oh no, I'm editing it. Yeah,
Cool.
cropping it. Yeah, normally during a baseball game, I normally post 30 photos or so. So maybe half of that is halfway through the game, and then the rest is after the game ends. And then a couple days later, I'll go through and post more. So anywhere up to like 100 or more, depending on what the game is. Um, and yeah, and then they just go up on the wire, and then whoever wants to grab them, or any magazines or any online publication.
So as far as like this photo, for example,
Yeah,
do you get sorry, I have a phone ringing in the background.
no,
Do you get commission off that? Or because this picture, like this is one of the questions that someone had asked. I had posted saying, hey, if you have any questions,
yeah,
someone was asking about like why Topps uses the same photos over and over. And like this one, for example, I don't you might know better than me, but this was on like, oh, I feel like a dozen, maybe more cards this year. And
there was so that actual photo. He hit a home run on that swing, and I posted a bunch of different frames of the actual swing. So that photo, that specific photo, was only used on that card, but there's variations of it that
got
look
it.
very similar to it. But they do reuse photos a lot. I mean, I've had maybe a couple pictures of Fernando Tatis that have been like on maybe 10 or 15 cards, same picture. So I mean, I don't necessarily know why they do that. I mean, obviously it's a cost savings for them, and if it's featured in a different way where it might have a background or it might have some different elements to it, it's not as obvious. But yeah, it's interesting when some photos just get reused over and over.
Yeah, what I actually thought was really cool on your page was even products that I guess I just didn't stop to think about it, like a product like Inception, which is like an art card.
Hmm.
That's actually, I think there was one or two on your page that were Inception cards that you had the original of. I guess it makes sense that they would take it
Yeah,
from an actual photo, but um, yeah, it's pretty sweet.
yeah.
The
A lot of their drawings that they do are all off photos as well. So, like I had a couple pictures of Fernando Tatis that ended up on cards that were just paintings of the image. So those are always cool to see. Just how an artist sort of sees your photo and brings it to life.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
yeah.
Do you remember someone in the chat? I think Denny Sports Cards, he's one of the people who are in our Zeke crew. Is there a moment or a specific photo that you remember, like the first time you saw one of your photos on a card, or a specific like early photo that stands out as like, oh wow, this is
The
becoming a
the
thing?
first the first photo that I had on a card was a picture of Buster Posey. It's this one
Oh,
right here.
cool.
It was from the World Baseball Classic. I shot it in San Diego, and I'm a Giants fan. I grew up in the Bay Area, so him being my first car was pretty cool.
Oh, way
Uh,
cool. Yeah.
and I had to like double check it a couple times to make sure. I'm like, yeah, that's my photo, right? Um, so that was probably the coolest one because it was the first one. Um, and then definitely when I see ones that when I take it, I think it's a great photo and would be cool on a card. When those end up on cards, those are always fun to see. Um, and photos that I take that I wouldn't even think would end up on a card, those are also fun to see and be like, oh wow, they saw something that necessarily I didn't see. Um, when they wanted to use it. So
And what's it like seeing, not only seeing your photos on cards, but like some of these cards are worth crazy amounts of money,
yeah,
and that, like seeing essentially your art turned into something that is selling for, in some cases, like thousands of dollars. What's that experience been like?
it's pretty wild. It's so when I write the stories, my wife is my copy editor, and she always reads through them, and she's always amazed how much some of the cards are for, and it's pretty wild. That you know a picture. I wish I got a percentage of that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you,
'Cause
you
I
any sort of
posted,
commission or?
yeah, I posted a picture or a card of Mike Trout today, and I think it's like 8,000 on eBay or something like that. I'm like, okay, can I get like 2% of that?
Right? Now,
But
I
I get paid just every time an image is used on a card, I get paid. So,
oh, cool.
um, you
So
know,
with
if,
that, for this, for example, let's say, so is it each iteration of it? So like in Topps opening day, Top Series One, Top Sapphire, those are
yeah,
all different.
each iteration, but not each parallel.
Got it.
So, like if there's 10 parallels of the card, I just get paid once. But if it's a different brand, yeah, all their brands are separated by different designers and different project managers too. So I think that's sometimes why you see a lot of the same images is they're siloed in the brands that they work on, so they don't necessarily know, oh, this image was used here
Oh,
or
that's interesting.
stuff like that. So, um, but yeah,
So
I get paid every time my image ends up on a card.
that's
So
really cool. With is there, have you had any different experiences with, or two questions? Like one is, has Topps or Panini ever come back to you and like, hey, do you still have this raw photo? Or once it's on the wire, it's like gone,
once
not
it's
gone, but you're out of the equation.
um, normally we post at a high enough res where I mean, for a card, it's fine. Um, if they wanted to use it on some poster or something, then they might come back and ask for a higher res. But with the files today, they're so big, they're big enough that you can print at high res and it's fine. So once it goes on the wire, it's completely out of my hands, and then I wait and see if it ends up on anything. So
That's awesome. Now, do you, one of the questions from Limestone Cards, do you sell prints of your photos?
no, I can't because they're licensed photos, so I don't have the license to sell them. Um, so I can't do that yet.
And now, have you had any different experiences working? Like, is it different shooting baseball versus shooting basketball or football, or is it generally the same process, or is one more restrictive than the other?
They're all restrictive right now, but they're all different. So for basketball, I'm used to being on the floor, which is great to get expressions and that sort of stuff. But now we're up in the stands, so um, I think everyone's trying to figure out where are good spots in the stands to shoot from that you can get images that look good without a bunch of hand sanitizers behind
Right.
people, and there's just so much stuff on the sidelines and Gatorade, and um, so each sport is different. Baseball, normally we have a photo well that's right next to the dugout, and during the game you can move from the first base side to the third base side, move around. For football, you just sort of follow the ball. So you're on the sideline, and if you start on the 10 yard line going the other way, then as the ball goes, you go. So that's probably the most work, football, just because you're constantly moving around, and there's so many different variabilities in football in terms of so many players on the field and referees and people running onto the field that it's it can be frustrating that you have a touchdown and you take it, and then all of a sudden the ref like walks right in front of you. So
Yeah.
uh,
No
there's
regard.
nothing you can do about it. But
Right.
um, probably in baseball and basketball, you have much more control over that sort of stuff. Um, so so yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. answers your question. But
You know it does. Chuck Sports Cards asks, you're going to all these games. Is it still enjoyable going to games like you're a sports fan, or does it just feel like you're going to work?
in the beginning, it was like the novelty of it was really cool. Like I'm like, wow, I'm in the dugout, and like, or I'm here. Um, and that wore off really quickly because like once you start thinking about that stuff, you miss like 20 photos that are happening right in front of you. So you can get caught up in the game and the crowd, in big situations, but it just makes you focus more on, okay, where's the play going to be? Where should I have my camera? You know, if he hits or if he makes a shot, like who's the guy who's going to be on the court who has the best reaction to it? So you got to be constantly thinking, or you just sort of you get caught up in the game and you miss the good parts. So, but yeah, I mean, some it right now it's just weird. I mean, the arenas are just very cold and quiet. They have the mic'd in sound, but I shot a
How
Clippers.
loud is that in the arena? Is it pretty
It's pretty
loud?
loud in the arena, but I mean, it actually sounds pretty good on TV, and it's decently loud in the arena. But I shot a Clippers game a couple weeks ago, and like Kawhi almost had 40, and Zach LaVine had 40 something, and there was like in a normal like year where there would be a crowd, like you would feel the enormity of like those performances,
Yeah.
and you would see like, well, not with Kawhi, but you would see like the reaction of the
A smirk.
players, like just the emotion, and there was none of it. Like I kept looking up, going like, wow, he's got like 40, but it's weird. Like it's
Totally.
quiet. So that's just weird. But
How many
um,
games a week in pre-COVID were you shooting, and now during COVID, how many games a week are you typically shooting?
um, it's similar. Like I guess with basketball, it's less because the NBA is really cutting down on how many people are in the arena. But with baseball, I was still shooting the same amount as I would during a regular season, just further away. Um, So, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, if a team's in town, obviously I'm shooting more that week than when they're out of town. And I shoot a lot of college stuff too. So some weeks I have a bunch of stuff and some weeks I don't. So this week I don't really have much. And then next week I'm shooting a golf tournament and some college games. So it just sort of ebbs and flows as the schedule flows.
That makes
Um,
sense. One of the questions I had, you've touched on it, but what's like, so I've been thinking a lot about 2021 cards and what they're going to look like, and you mentioned that, but like my concern is that they're just going to go back and use like spring training photos or photos from the 2019 season. We saw them do that with even players like during Topps Update, like that. A lot of those pictures were old.
yeah.
So I guess my question is, what is the typical turnaround time from you taking a photo? Like what's average? Like you took the photo and then ends up on a card. And I've tried to do the math on some of your posts and like, okay, this card probably came out then. Here's the story he wrote about it. But what's pretty typical, and what do you kind of think's going to happen with this year's cards?
I'm not sure actually. I mean, normally, um, like for baseball, I guess, the stuff that I shoot in like early April or early May will end up on like series two. Um, but with this year, I mean, I don't even know if spring training is going to happen on time, if it's going to
Right.
happen at all. So, and a lot of there was no minor leagues last year, so all the pictures of that they like to Photoshop jerseys on. Those
Yeah.
don't exist. So it's just going to be weird. Like I took some photos of James Wiseman when he was in high school in 2000, I think 18, and I saw that Panini had photoshopped the Warriors jersey on one of the photos. So that was like 3 years ago.
Wow.
He played like 3 games in college.
Right.
There weren't any like all-star games that he played in because of COVID. So like it was really weird to see that.
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense. Z
but it,
Crew, we are
yeah,
all Warriors fans. So we're Bay Area, all Warriors
yeah,
fans. So we're actually looking forward to the Wiseman stuff. And he's kind of baby faced as it is, but it's I'll have to look closely because I mean, he'll have been what, 16 or 17 in some of those picks?
Yeah, I think he was 17, but
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and he's kind of got like a mullet hair then, and his hair's a little different now. So
Yeah.
I'll send you the photo
Oh,
after.
yes, please. I would love to see that.
But
Um,
that sort of stuff happens like way more than you think. Like normally they have rookie shoots. Panini does for NFL and NBA, and this year they didn't do them because of COVID. So like all the photos that you see of all the rookie quarterbacks in the NFL, like Herbert and Tua and all those guys, they're all using their college jerseys and photoshopping the
wow.
NFL jersey on them. And we're going to see that a lot with Panini too. I don't know when they're going to actually start for the NBA using NBA photos.
Yeah.
Might not be until after Prism. I don't know. So
Yeah, that's crazy. So have you seen I have a couple more questions and if anyone has any in the chat and then don't want to keep you too long, but have you seen with the uptick in just the popularity of sports cards and it's like it's booming right now. Has that changed your job at all? Has it changed like are there more photographers out there even in the midst of or like how has it impacted your job or is it just an awareness?
I don't think it's impacted my job too much. I think when I started this channel almost a year ago, I thought it would be cool to just sort of share some stories. Then COVID hit, and then I was like, wow, I have all this time on my hand, and it's a good creative outlet. And I think in the year, just like spending more time looking and finding cards of mine and seeing what photos they use, I think whenever we get back to some normalcy, like in my mind, I have more ideas of what I should be shooting and what I shouldn't be shooting for cards, at least.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Obviously, my I don't make all my money off cards, so there's other photos that need to be used as well. But it definitely gave me some thoughts of different things that I should be focused on. That some of them I already focused on, but some not as much as maybe I should have. So
Yeah,
that,
no, that's
that's
a
sort of
really.
how it's changed for me at least.
And do you have you mentioned the Buster Posey card. I don't know if you have any other cards near you. I grabbed a few that I knew you took, like the Will Smith, Luis Arias, some others. But are there any favorite cards or even like West Shore Cards asked if there are any unusual photos that you've had make it onto cards? But any that stand out and people can obviously check out your page as well.
Yeah, unusual. Let's see. Trying to think. Like these are sort of what I was talking about. Like I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
The
Is that
painting
gallery?
piece in the back. That's my picture, and then he just painted it. So I really like
That's
those.
cool.
When those, and then I've had a couple in the living set too. This
Oh
is
yeah.
so those are cool. I always like those. This is a photo I took of Mookie Betts last year, just to show you sort of the angle of where we were. Pretty far up. You don't sort of get the eyes as well on the swing.
Yeah.
So you'll probably see a lot of for the pitchers it wasn't as bad, but for the batters, especially like you're looking at something like this where you can definitely see the guy's eyes and
Right.
you're not going to see these from last year. So that'll be interesting.
They'll have to put out like a panoramic series, like just
Yeah,
lean into the fact that they're far away and wide.
yeah. I like to buy the 5x7 cards of like my favorite cards. So like um, this one.
Yeah,
So
I love that one. Pujols.
this was his 600th home run that I shot, and I have a good story about it online. I actually was in the wrong spot because I didn't think he would get up in the inning, and then the Angels scored like 10 runs in the inning, and he got up. But I got a good shot of it, and no one else was in the position I was in, so it ended up being good. But for a
That's
while,
cool.
oh crap, I can't move, and he's gonna be up again. So
I feel like Tops now really benefits what you're doing too, because like you
Right.
can take a photo, it's on the wire, and then probably within 24 hours, like, oh, it made it.
Yeah, yeah. Those you can see right away, but like you know, some that come out, I don't know for a while that they're actually. I always like the old stuff too. That reminds me of like my childhood, like
Yeah.
the '85. I think this year they're doing '86, so hopefully I'll have a couple of those. Um, and then anything that has where was it? Like these. I love taking these shots, like um, just sort of
On
showing
deck circle.
and not just sort of the usual, you know, at bat. He was on deck circle and was joking around with some other player that was there. So I like to look for those sort of photos because uh, it's just something different, and it it makes a good card. So
It's so cool too with Tops, especially like they have their standard and then they have their photo variations, and I feel like the photo variations, and I would imagine if I like, based on what you said earlier, like looking for more of those moments too. You're like, oh, this would be a cool photo variation, or this would be
yeah,
because I feel like those are the more candid, like non-sports or non-action shots, and I love those cards. They're some of my favorites.
yeah. So this one I have a story about this one. This one is of Albert in the dugout. This is a variation one too. Um, he he was late to get on the field, and he stood in the dugout, which was right next to where we were. And um, you know, this might have been the only time he was ever in the dugout last year or 2 years ago for the national anthem. So, uh, so I have a helicopter or plane coming
No,
over.
you're good. You're good. Now, do the companies like Tops or Panini, do they ever send you products or anything, or
I
like
wish.
you're just removed from it?
I wish.
You have to
No,
track them down
I'm
like the
removed.
rest of us.
Yeah, I I try to pick up some of the stuff that I really like, but in the beginning, uh, you know, anytime my card was or my photo was on a card, I was like, oh, I have to get it. And then now that I have like over 1,000, I'm like, okay, I can't
Yeah, yeah,
can't do that,
yeah,
especially like the one-on-ones that are like thousands and thousands of dollars. That wouldn't go over really well with my wife or me.
yeah.
Uh,
Right. I
so
can
so
relate.
yeah, I try to pick and choose, and like this is one of my favorite cards from last year. Um, it's it's one of Tatis.
Yeah,
Um,
from
I
Finest.
the ones that use the photos and then backgrounds behind them. Just uh, I don't know. It's just this actual photo's been on so many different cards, um, and this is the one I like of it because it's has a different background and has a variation of it. So um,
Now,
and
since you're in the, sorry, go ahead.
it's definitely been like the last, I would say the last year I've had tons of cards or come up, and it's been fun to see that during COVID when you know, I might not be shooting as much or might not be um, you know, might be staying at home. So it's definitely given me some things to do and look at and get inspired off of. So
That's amazing. Well, I appreciate you taking time to chat with us. I'll probably want to chat with you again once the maybe mid-season we can pick it up again,
sure,
just to follow up. I would love to even see once um, products start rolling out to just kind of catch up on any of the products we missed. Any website or anything you want to promote that we can tag in, or just tag your Instagram?
just my Instagram, and then my photography Instagram is Brotham_photos.
Cool.
So I post more just variety of photos on there. Um,
Awesome.
yeah,
Man, this was seriously so fun for me. And like I said in the beginning, I love your Instagram account, as
but
I do photography and videography, and I don't know, it's so cool for me to like just go through yours and just read the stories about it. And yeah, you have one of my favorite Instagrams. So excited to keep following and sharing it.
thanks.
Cool, Brian. Well, stay safe, and we'll catch
You
up with
too.
you mid-season.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a
All
lot.
right, take it easy.
Bye.